Story 1. The Grand Alistair is a tomb after midnight. The only sounds are the hum of the ice machine down the hall and the quiet hiss of the surveillance monitors in my office. As the sole night manager, I've learned to appreciate the silence. It's a predictable, peaceful rhythm. Tonight, that rhythm broke. The call came from room 313. I glanced at the switchboard, my brow furrowing. Room 313 was vacant, marked for deep cleaning after a pipe burst last week. I picked up the receiver. "Front desk, this is Ben." Silence. Then, a voice, thin and dry like rustling leaves. "Someone's at my door." "Sir, can you confirm your room number for me?" I asked, already pulling up the digital floor plan. Vacant. Red letters. 313, the voice rasped. "They keep knocking." A gentle tap. Tap, tap. For an hour now I froze, my eyes darting to the monitor for the third-floor hallway. It was empty. The grainy black and white image showed a perfectly still, perfectly silent corridor. No one was there. "Sir, I'm looking at the camera for your hallway right now." "There's nobody there," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Maybe it was a prank call, someone messing with the hotel's internal lines. "The cameras don't see him," the man whispered, his voice cracking with a terrifying sincerity. "He's tall. Very thin. He wears an old-fashioned bowler hat. He doesn't have a face." My blood ran cold. The description was nonsensical, something from a nightmare, but the fear in his voice was real. "I'm on my way up, sir." "Stay on the line." I grabbed my master key card, my heart hammering against my ribs. As I walked towards the elevator, I kept my eyes glued to the third-floor monitor. Still empty. But just as the elevator doors chimed, I saw it. A flicker. I stopped and squinted at the screen. It wasn't a person. It was a distortion. A brief, warping ripple in the image, right in front of the door to room 313, like heat haze on a summer road. It was there, and then it was gone. My hand trembled as I stepped into the elevator. The ride up was the longest of my life. When the doors opened on the third floor, the silence was thicker, heavier. I walked down the hall, my footsteps muffled by the gaudy carpet. There was no sound, no knocking. I stood before room 313. I could feel a strange coldness emanating from the door, a low vibrational hum that made the hairs on my arms stand up. I raised my hand to knock, to announce myself, but hesitated. That's when my desk phone, which I had forwarded to my cell, began to ring in my pocket. I answered it, my throat tight. "Front desk." It was the same reedy, whispering voice from room 313. But this time it wasn't laced with fear. It was calm, almost curious. "He's not at the door anymore," the voice said. I let out a breath of relief. "Good, sir. I'm right outside. He's behind you." Story 2. The night shift at the Grand Majestic Hotel has always been a peculiar kind of quiet. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that hums with unspoken anxieties. The kind where the silence feels padded, muffling every creak and groan of the old building. My name is Arthur, and I've been the night manager here for 7 years. I've seen my share of strange, but nothing prepared me for the week the March weather decided to go mad, bringing a string of unusual guests with it. It started on a Tuesday. A single guest, a Mr. Silas Blackwood, checked in late. The reservation was made anonymously, paid for in cash, with no contact information. He requested the penthouse suite, number 1201, a room that had been out of service for a decade due to a recurring, persistent mold issue. I'd argued, of course, cited fire codes, maintenance schedules, all the usual excuses. But Mr. Blackwood, a gaunt man with eyes that seemed too large for his face, had a way of looking at you. A calm, unwavering intensity that made you feel like a bothersome insect. He insisted. So, I'd had maintenance unlock 1201, the air thick with the musty scent of disuse. The first oddity was the power. On Wednesday night, around 2 a.m., the lights in 1201 flickered and died. The entire floor went dark, a sudden jarring silence. I checked the breaker box, everything normal. Maintenance confirmed no external power surges or issues. Yet, still no power in 1201. I went up myself, flashlight beam cutting through the oppressive gloom. The room was cold, impossibly so, the air biting. There was no sign of Mr. Blackwood. His luggage was still there, a single worn leather satchel. The room was otherwise pristine, untouched. Still, a gnawing discomfort settled in my gut. Thursday, the surveillance cameras. The Grand Majestic has an extensive network, and I monitor them religiously during my shift. That night, the feed for hallway camera 7, leading to 1201, started glitching. It wasn't a typical digital stutter. It was more like the images were struggling to coalesce. Faces would distort, the hallway would warp, and for brief, terrifying seconds, the corridor would seem to stretch into an infinite dark tunnel. I kept replaying the footage, convinced it was a system error, but it felt deliberate, like something was actively interfering. Then came the sounds, faint at first, from the direction of 1201. A soft thudding, like something heavy being dragged across a carpeted floor. Then, a low, guttural murmur, too indistinct to be words, but undeniably a human sound. I tried calling Mr. Blackwood's room from the front desk, but there was no answer. I sent a bellhop, a young fellow named Kevin, to check. Kevin returned pale, his hands trembling. He said the door to 1201 was ajar, and he heard something moving inside. He didn't go in. I couldn't blame him. The strangest incident, though, happened late Friday night. The camera feed for hallway 7 was now completely black. No static, no glitches, just a void where the corridor should be. I was sitting at my desk, coffee gone cold, when I heard it. A sharp, brittle crack from upstairs, followed by a low, sustained scraping sound. It was coming from above 1201, which was impossible. 1201 was our top floor. Fueled by a dread I couldn't articulate, I took the service elevator, my heart pounding against my ribs. The air in the elevator shaft felt clammy, heavy. When the doors hissed open on the 12th floor, the silence was profound. The hallway was dark, the emergency lights casting long, distorted shadows. I could smell something faintly, an acrid metallic odor, like old blood and ozone. I slowly approached the door of 1201. It was still ajar. I pushed it open, my flashlight beam sweeping the room. It was empty. The bed was undisturbed, the satchel still in its place. But the floor, the ornate Persian rug in the center of the room, was discolored, stained with a dark, viscous liquid that wasn't there before. And in the very center of the stain, etched into the wood beneath the rug, was a symbol I'd never seen before. A jagged spiral, almost gouged into the floor. As I stared at it, a low, sibilant whisper brushed against my ear, though I was entirely alone. It was a sound that promised nothing good. I backed out of the room, my breath catching in my throat, and didn't stop until I was safely behind the reinforced glass of the front desk. Mr. Blackwood never returned. The room was promptly sealed again, the stains scrubbed, the rug replaced. But every so often, on a quiet night when the wind howls just right, I think I hear the thudding from above, or catch a glimpse of something distorted on camera 7. The Grand Majestic holds its secrets well, and some guests, it seems, leave more than just their luggage behind. They leave a mark. And that mark, on the 12th floor, is one I can never quite scrub from my mind.